Because you all demanded it, I'm delivering. Today, Comic Book Haul. Hey comic book heroes, this is Dante D bringing you all another video, and if you're new to the channel, welcome, the place where we talk about comic books and other geek stuff. If you're visiting today, please consider subscribing. New videos are published weekly on comic books and other topics related to geek culture. A few subscribers have reached out to me lately and have requested that I do a comic book haul video. I never thought to do one before, mostly because I don't buy comic books in large quantities like I used to. In the past, I used to buy comic books weekly. Now I'm at a point where I stopped reading and collecting newer stuff, and I'm now focusing on older comic books. Nowadays, I'm buying comic books only a few times a year, but when I do, I'm buying at least 50 to 60 different issues. The comic books that I'm going to show you today, I purchased about a few months ago, and I haven't even gotten around to reading them yet. So I thought before I actually get into reading them and rebagging and boarding them, that I would share them and show them to you. This time around, I don't have any really spectacular story about how I came across these comic books. These are mostly eBay finds and orders from Midtown Comics, a couple thrift store finds too. Now, just of note, I did not buy all of these comic books individually. I mostly bought these in huge lots. I'm so much of a lot buyer. I very, very rarely buy one comic book at a time. If I can find a particular comic book that I really, really want in a lot, I will always get it in a lot. I just find by buying lots, you really get more bang for your buck. A lot of these comic books are filler issues, but I do have a few key issues that I'm going to show you here today, plus one mega key. So let's get into this list. I'm so excited. All right, here we go. Uncanny X-Men, issue 124. This is the issue where Colossus becomes Proletarian. I haven't read this issue yet. I'm not really sure who Proletarian is. When I hear Proletarian, I think of Karl Marx and the Communist Manifesto. But since Colossus is from the Soviet Union, I'm sure he's very aptly named as the Proletarian. The Uncanny X-Men, number 128. The Uncanny X-Men, number 132. The Uncanny X-Men, number 134. This is the issue where the Phoenix becomes the Dark Phoenix. Uncanny X-Men, number 137. This is the famous Death of the Phoenix issue. Very, very popular key issue from the Bronze Age. Uncanny X-Men, number 141. This is the first issue in the famous Days of Future Past story arc. I thought that was what the only significance of this issue was, but when I looked in the Overstreet comic book price guide to look up further significance, I actually figured out that this was also the first appearance of Rachel, the second Phoenix. So yeah, really, really cool. I never knew that. Uncanny X-Men, number 142. This is the second issue in the Days of Future Past storyline. Uncanny X-Men, number 157. I totally thought that this was a key issue of some sort, but when I looked it up in the Overstreet comic book price guide, it didn't say that this issue had any sort of significance. Then I didn't believe the Overstreet, so I looked at some CG copies of this book, because usually for CGC they put the significance of the book at the top, and lo and behold, the CGC copies didn't reveal anything hugely significant about this book. I think I originally thought this was the first appearance of Dark Phoenix, maybe, but it definitely is not. We just saw the first appearance of Dark Phoenix, but yeah, I think really the only thing that I can say about this book is that it has a very, very cool cover, and hopefully it has a good story too. Uncanny X-Men, number 159. Uncanny X-Men, issue 161. I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that this is the origin of Magneto. Very, very excited to read this one. I always thought Magneto had a very, very interesting origin story as a Holocaust survivor. Uncanny X-Men, issue 162. Nothing hugely significant here, but the Overstreet price guide does specify that this is a solo Wolverine story. I'm not sure if it is the first solo Wolverine story, but I am pretty sure that this does predate the first solo Wolverine comic book series, which debuted in 1982. That was the series by Frank Miller. If you know anything else about this book, please let me know in the comments. Uncanny X-Men issue 176. Uncanny X-Men issue 166. Uncanny X-Men issue 280. Nothing hugely significant here, but this is a very, very cool cover. Uncanny X-Men issue 284. Not a huge key issue. However, the Overstreet comic book price guide did specify that this was the last issue of Uncanny X-Men to feature a $1 cover price. Uncanny X-Men issue 289, featuring a Whilce Portacio cover. Not sure if I'm saying that right. Still to this day, I don't know if it's Portacio or Portacio. I guess if you're saying it in the proper Spanish, it would be Portacio. But let me know if you know the proper pronunciation in the comments. Uncanny X-Men issue 291. Uncanny X-Men issue 295 with a stupid manufacturer's polybag and trading card. They did this a lot in the 1990s. I absolutely hate the manufacturer's polybags. When I get around to reading this comic book, I will tear open the polybag and put it in my own polybag. A lot of people don't know that these manufacturer's polybags are actually not acid-free, and they are in fact slowly damaging the comic within. So if you are the owner of any comic books that have manufacturer's polybags, I would suggest, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do or anything, but I would suggest taking them out, as they are slowly damaging the comic. What I normally do is I just, like I said, I rip them open, stick them in my own polybag, and if there's a trading card, I think the trading card is kind of in the middle of the book here, but if there is a trading card, I will just put the trading card in the my own polybag with this book. Uncanny X-Men issue 296. With another manufacturer's polybags. And the reasoning behind these polybags was just terrible. The manufacturer put these books in these polybags because they really wanted collectors and speculators to buy multiple copies of these books here. Multiple copies out of greed, thinking that these books were going to be worth a lot of money because they were in this special polybag. And also multiple copies because if you actually were a reader of comic books and a collector, you were usually buying one to keep as a collectible and another to actually read. Again, I absolutely hate the fact that the publishers did this, but these I didn't actually actively look for these polybag books. They came in a lot. Uncanny X-Men issue 293. Uncanny X-Men issue 300 with a beautiful holographic cover, which makes you think that this book is significant in some form or another, but it actually isn't. If you go in the Overstreet price guide, the book does not state that this particular issue has any significance whatsoever. Although over here it says an X-Men Anniversary Spectacular. I don't know if this was the actual anniversary issue, 30-year anniversary issue of Uncanny X-Men, because I'm sure they would have stated that in the price guide. But I mean, still nice to look at nevertheless. I know I said these holographic covers were another huge thing of the 1990s. Was an effort by publishers to get people to think that these books were special and going to be value in some form or another because of the holographic covers. Again, very, very gimmicky. But I have to say, I do love these holographic covers. Like I said, I hated the fact that they polybagged some books, but these holographic covers, for me, I absolutely love them. Every time I see a holographic cover, I don't even care what it is. I usually pick them up just because I think these holographic covers look so cool. Even though they're worthless, these books are worthless. You could probably find it in a dollar bin, in some bargain bin in your local comic book shop. But again, I just really like them. I like looking at them. X-Men number 15. Now, this is not Uncanny X-Men. This is actually the Jim Lee X-Men series that debuted in 1991. So this is issue 15 of that series, but it's part of it was part of a huge crossover event in the early 1990s. Another polybag book here that I believe, yep, comes with a, I don't know if you can see here, but it comes with a trading card. X-Men number 31. Uncanny X-Men number 368. I believe this is the only super modern book that I have in this haul. The second, Secret Wars number 1 and 2. Now, this is not the original Secret Wars that we all know and love, but this is the second Secret Wars. I actually found these in a thrift store, believe it or not. One day I went into a thrift store looking for a used copy of George Martin's A Dance with Dragons. It's the only Song of Ice and Fire book that I haven't read. And while I was there, I did find the Song of Ice and Fire book that I was looking for, but I also found these Secret Wars issues, which I was super, super happy about. I also managed to find issues 3 and 4 of Secret Wars, the second Secret Wars. However, they did not have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I'm stuck with the horrid task of having to find issues 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which I believe is going to be hard because even on eBay, they're either selling these individually or they are selling them as a lot. Really love this Beyonder cover here. I think this is really a really cool cover. Next, we have Incredible Hulk issue 223. Not a hugely significant Incredible Hulk issue, but the Overstreet price guide does specify that this is the issue in which the Hulk villain, the Leader, returns. Incredible Hulk issue 225. Nothing spectacular here. Mostly a filler issue, but it does continue the Return of the Leader storyline. Incredible Hulk issue 226. I'm a huge fan of the Incredible Hulk, and whenever I come across any issues of older Hulk that I find, I pick them up. Incredible Hulk number 227. The Overstreet price guide specifies that this is the issue in which the original Avengers appear in a dream sequence. So I don't think that necessarily makes this a key issue, but it is definitely something that is noteworthy. Incredible Hulk issue 321. This actually is a key issue, not a huge key issue, but it is an issue in which it is Hulk versus the Avengers. Very, very cool. Kind of a cool cover too, and really excited to read this comic and see how this turns out. Incredible Hulk number 367. Incredible Hulk number 411. Incredible Hulk number 417. Overstreet price guide states that the significance of this issue is that this issue features the bachelor party of Rick Jones. Seriously, this is what Marvel was doing in the early 1990s. They were giving Rick Jones a bachelor party. Wow, can't wait to read this and see how this goes. And to start off the whack of Spider-Man issues that follow is Marvel Tales number 143. This is actually a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man number 6, which is the first appearance of the Lizard. Amazing Spider-Man issue 88. Amazing Spider-Man issue 89. Amazing Spider-Man issue 90, which is the death of Captain Stacy. Definitely a key issue. However, I feel that this is a very undervalued key issue of the Amazing Spider-Man. I think Captain Stacy was a really cool character. This scene here was depicted on screen in the Amazing Spider-Man movie with Andrew Garfield. This is actually a key issue that I've been looking for a long time. I'm really happy to have it. Amazing Spider-Man issue 113. I was pleasantly surprised to discover that this issue here is the first appearance of Hammerhead, which is a lesser-known Spider-Man villain. Amazing Spider-Man issue 119. This is Spidey vs. the Hulk. I've been looking for this book for a really long time. And the only reason why is, okay, I am a huge Hulk fan, but also I just absolutely love this cover. You have Spidey and Hulk on a cover, engaged in the heat of battle. Just awesome. I absolutely adore this cover, and I'm really happy that I found this book. Next we have Amazing Spider-Man issue 120, the issue before the famous death of Gwen Stacy, which that's Death of Gwen Stacy is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, but this one here, this continues the Spideyverse Hulk storyline, and just another really cool cover. So happy that I found this. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man number 128, which is the issue that precedes the famous first appearance of Punisher. And here we are, my friends, with la pièce de résistance of this video here, the super key that I was talking about earlier. This is Amazing Spider-Man issue 129, which is the first appearance of the Punisher and one of the super keys from the Bronze Age. So happy that I found this book. This also is the only book that I got in this haul that I bought individually. Unfortunately, I could not find it in a lot, but I was so happy to find this book, and I actually got a pretty decent deal on it. Really, really happy to have such an iconic key issue here. The Punisher is a great character, and I really can't wait to read the Punisher in his first ever appearance. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man issue 134, which is the first appearance of the Tarantula, which is this guy right here on the front cover. I think he's a really cool villain. I know he's one of the lesser-known Spider-Man villains, but I think he's really cool. I really enjoyed reading about him in the Spectacular Spider-Man, because I know he plays a huge role in the first issue of the Spectacular Spider-Man. Really happy that I found this this book here. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man number 135, another cool key issue. This is the second appearance of the Punisher. So happy to have been able to nail the first two appearances of the Punisher in this haul. Like I said, this book and the first appearance of the Punisher are books that I've been looking for a long time. Really happy that I finally found this. Next, we have the Amazing Spider-Man number 136. This is the first appearance of Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin. I actually already have this book. This is actually my second copy of this book. I didn't actively look for a second copy of this book. It actually came in a lot. Amazing Spider-Man number 137. According to the Overstreet comic book price guide, this is the second appearance of the Harry Osborn Green Goblin. Amazing Spider-Man issue 144. This is the first appearance of the Gwen Stacy clone and the original Clone Saga. Everyone knows the infamous Clone Saga from the early 1990s. Well, there actually was a Clone Saga that preceded that one, and that was this one, which happened in the 1970s. Really excited to read this book here because I actually heard really good things about the original Clone Saga. Amazing Spider-Man issue 145. I absolutely love issues of Amazing Spider-Man. If you're new to comic book collecting, I highly recommend collecting Amazing Spider-Man issues. Amazing Spider-Man is a character. He's not going anywhere. He's a classic character that's going to be around forever, really. And this series here gave us amazing art, amazing entertainment, and from a collecting point of view, just really cool key issues. Some of them super expensive, but others very affordable. Amazing Spider-Man issue 197. Please excuse the sticker there. This is a book from Midtown Comics. I usually go on Midtown Comics and order from them to fill holes in my collection. Amazing Spider-Man is one of those series where, you know, if I ever come across an issue that I don't have, I will pick it up. I don't care what it is. I will pick it up. Amazing Spider-Man issue 203. I thought this was just a filler issue, but I was surprised to find out that this is the third appearance of Dazzler, at least according to the Overstreet comic book price guide. In Amazing Spider-Man issue 218. Amazing Spider-Man number 220. This is a Moon Knight appearance. Amazing Spider-Man number 235. I thought, again, this was a filler issue, but when I looked in the Overstreet comic book price guide, this is the origin of the Will-O-the-Wisp, which is a lesser-known Amazing Spider-Man villain. It actually says right here on the cover, featuring the origin of Will-O-the-Wisp. But you know, every time I read something on a comic book cover, I take it as I take it with a grain of salt. Amazing Spider-Man issue 247. Amazing Spider-Man issue 249. This book here retells the origin and death of the original Norman Osborn Green Goblin. Again, I thought this was a filler issue, but I was surprised to find out that this book actually is mildly significant. Amazing Spider-Man number 272. This is the first appearance of Slide, another lesser-known Amazing Spider-Man villain. That does it for our Amazing Spider-Man issues. This is KAZAR the Savage. I was actually able to get the entire run of this series in a lot. This is the first issue of it. Nothing really hugely significant here. This is not the first KAZAR solo series. KAZAR actually had a series that preceded this, which debuted in the early 1970s, which I also have and I really enjoy. I'm actually a KAZAR fan, really like this character. The only KAZAR book in that lot that I could find that was somewhat significant was, besides the number 1 obviously, is KAZAR number 11, which tells the origin of Zabu, which is KAZAR's famous saber-toothed tiger. And we have our last book on the list, which is King Conan number 1. I was actually able to get this whole series in a lot. I was so happy to find this. Again, nothing really hugely significant about this book. It was just another Conan series that ran, but I'm a fan of Conan. I'm actually just a fan of a lot of different genres of comic books. I don't just read superhero comics. I read tons of different genres. I love superheroes. I love these types of books, which are considered sword and sorcery. KAZAR would be jungle comics, and I absolutely adore horror comics as well. The only genre I never really got into, though, was westerns. I'm not a big fan of western comics. And all of the research that I did for this video today, I did using the 47th edition of the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. This is the 2017-2018 edition. Really love this book. It's really informative, and there's a lot of great stuff in here. It's not just about stating comic book values. The whole history of comic books is in here, so it's really a great book, and I love it. I look at it almost every day. If you're interested in picking up this book, I've made it easy for you. There's a link in the description to the Amazon listing for this book. So if you're interested in it, pick it up. Thank you for checking out this comic book haul video today. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, please do not leave the page without hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, this is Dante D signing off. Ciao.